Good morning. Good morning. What is going on, everybody? What is going on? Cheers to you. Gotta be honest, kind of need my coffee this morning. Sometimes I might be able to just come on and just tell you guys I got all the energy in the world. I need a little coffee this morning. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Appreciate the support to the channel. Thank you to everybody who's a subscriber to the channel. Shout out to the members. Thank you very much for being here. Tuesday, February 3rd, 8:01. It was 8 a.m. when I started. Just a heads up for everybody. 8:01 on the dot. We'll call it 8:01 on the dot. All right, we got a lot to get into. 2 days before the NBA trade deadline. We're still going here. Still nothing. Very, very, very quiet trade deadline. Got a lot of good topics that I'm going to get into right here. I'll spend some time taking a look at everybody's comments. We got a Lakers and Brooklyn Nets game coming a little bit later today, so looking forward to that. We'll do a post-game show after. If Lakers don't win, Detroit beat the Nets by 53. If Lakers don't win by 45 plus, be very disappointed. You don't have to win by 45 plus, but I think you guys know what I'm referring to there. Interesting 24 hours since the last time we did our show. Obviously, a lot going on around the league, and we'll spend a lot of time not just talking about the Lakers, but also around the NBA as we get a little bit closer to the trade deadline. Thank you very much for being here. Let's give everyone a quick rundown of what we got going on for the show. Trade deadline's on Thursday. I'm going to play some stuff from Brian Windhorst as we get the show started, basically kind of tapering expectations. All of a sudden, around the league, it doesn't sound like Lakers are going to be doing much. Seismic changes for the Lakers potentially coming this summer, but it doesn't sound like anything major might be happening before the NBA trade deadline. We'll get into it. I saw a couple other articles from Jake Fischer. He was actually doing his podcast, so I kind of took the transcript of that, talking about how the Lakers were really interested in Keon Ellis. And then he also goes into how this is it for LeBron and the Los Angeles Lakers. So it feels like whether it's Shams Charania, whether it's Brian Windhorst, whether it's Jake Fischer, everybody seems to be saying the same thing. This could be it with LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. Spent a little bit of time on that. Last night, everybody was probably hanging out, getting ready to go to bed, and then the news comes out about James Harden. He wants out. He's got his reasons why he wants out. I think he's got 80 million reasons why. I think, what is he looking for? A 2-year, $80 million extension, something along those lines. We'll talk about what that could mean for the rest of the league, where he could end up. Why does James Harden want out? Should the Clippers be paying him? The answer is no, by the way. We'll get into all the James Harden stuff and then how this could kind of have a trickle effect on the rest of the NBA. Sammy's going to come join the show today. So Sammy did a preview video yesterday, does a preview video every single night or before every single Lakers game. He's going to come on at about 8:30, kind of get his thoughts on what the Lakers are doing or what they're not doing. And we'll go back and forth on all the different stuff going on around the NBA. A lot of NBA rumors as well. So whether it's Draymond Green conversations, whether it's Michael Porter Jr. conversations, whether it's Giannis Antetokounmpo conversations, Jared Allen has been a conversation all of a sudden. A lot of different topics around a number of different players around the NBA, and you know, some major pieces here. Sometimes we hear names, it's like, well, that doesn't matter. You know, DeAndre Hunter is not that big of a deal wherever he ends up, or Keon Ellis isn't going to change the entire scope of the NBA. But some of these other names being thrown around certainly have the power or the ability to have major impact around the NBA. So we'll get into some of those NBA rumors. Lakers versus the Nets. I'm going to spend about 38 seconds previewing the Lakers and the Nets towards the end of the show. I'm expecting the Lakers to win by 45 and for the Lakers to close out this road trip at 5-3 and then move on from there. By the way, you know, something to keep in mind if they're able to kind of wrap things up tonight and move on from the Brooklyn Nets. Still could get Austin Reaves tonight. So he's listed as questionable. We'll see what happens in regards to that. Got a couple things around the NBA that I'm going to play on as well. And then we're going to call it a day. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Again, we'll do a post-game show tonight right after the Lakers take on the Brooklyn Nets. And thank you for hanging out. All right, there's a quick rundown right there. Let's take a look at a few comments before we get started. And we'll go from there. Let's see what we have here. These players would change the current trajectory of our team. Dosunmu, Jalen Smith, Patrick Williams, Sadiq Bey, Trey Murphy. Grab 2 of them, Rob. Ain't going to happen. Definitely not going to happen. First off, I love, and I love reading all these comments. I'm good to have a conversation about any squad, any team, any player, but it takes 2 to tango. So if there's going to be a conversation of go get Trey Murphy, how are they going to get him? They don't have the picks to go get him. Sadiq Bey, I know that the Pelicans are asking for a first rounder. Do you want to give up a first rounder, or do you want to hold on to that first rounder until the summer? Giannis making this deadline boring. Could be kind of holding up the rest of the NBA. Good morning, Slee. A good day to end road trip with a win. Not asking for much. Just a nice little 45-point victory, and then we'll call it a day. I can't believe the Lakers whiffed on DeAndre Hunter. He would have been perfect for this roster next to Luka, LeBron, and Reaves. Hey, who was saying that? I felt like I was the only person saying that. I like the DeAndre Hunter idea, but I also understand as well. I understand Lakers, if they didn't believe in him for next year, then why are you taking on $25 million of cap space next season if that's going to be the case? So Hunter obviously ends up with the Sacramento Kings. Okay, let's get the show started. I appreciate everybody already diving into all the topics and not wasting any time. Not too surprised about that. This time of the year, everybody's ready to go. Let's get the show started. I want to, a couple things I want to hit on here before we get started, and then we'll kind of continuously go back to some of the comments as the show progresses. I want to just give everyone an idea kind of where we're at. So we do know right now that the Lakers or that the trade deadline is noon on Thursday. So that's it. After noon on Thursday, obviously no blockbusters will be going down across the entire NBA. Doesn't mean players can't be bought out and the Lakers could try to do some damage in the buyout market, which, listen, if you kind of look at that roster right now, they got great value on DeAndre Ayton, whether you love Ayton or not. They got great value in Marcus Smart, whether you love Marcus Smart or not. Frankly, I think they got great value in Jake LaRavia, even though that was just a straight signing, the 2 years, $12 million. Lakers are watching every single one of their dollars, which, by the way, I don't think is a bad idea. They're also, it seems like for the first time in a long time, really watching their picks as well. That's not exactly a Laker trait where people are saying they value the picks. They're going to draft properly. Now, I'm not telling you they're going to use these picks to draft because I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to use these picks to try to go make some moves. But Lakers we're 48 hours away, and it's not like they haven't done anything. And if there's a team that needs to make a move in the Western Conference, I don't think I'm breaking any news here. Yeah, Lakers are one of those teams. If you look at just the scope of the Western Conference, San Antonio can stand pat, and I think they would be okay. And I also think there's this big picture for the San Antonio. They don't need to be desperate and go out and make a move. OKC doesn't need to go out and make a move. Denver, frankly, if they just got healthy, I think are still okay. Maybe they make a small move here or there, but I think the biggest thing for them is they need Aaron Gordon. They need all their players back. Houston, I think, needs to do something. The Minnesota Timberwolves probably need to do something. Phoenix probably needs to do something. The Warriors probably need to do something. Not probably, they need to do something. And then the Lakers, are one of those other teams in the Western Conference where you're like, yeah, they got to do something. That's if your goal is to go and really try to compete this season. And I think the Lakers are kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Yeah, they want to compete this year, but at what cost? I don't think the team and the roster, obviously the team definitely has some deficiencies. We all know that. And it's very, very difficult to try to build a team when you have a 41-year-old and a 26-year-old. You got a team that's too much focus on the offensive end and not enough defensive players. So I think that, we can clearly see this Lakers team, and we understand they need stuff, but will they actually go out and get stuff? I want to play a clip for everybody. Yesterday, right after the show ended, Brian Windhorst was on ESPN. Of course, everybody knows Windy, one of the best in the business, someone who's been on this show a couple of different times. So Windhorst was on ESPN yesterday, And he's talking specifically about the Lakers, the position that they're in. And I feel like the mood now around the Lakers is not that you're surprised if they make a move, but definitely there seems to be this there seems to be an expectation that's changing around the Lakers. And that expectation is, yeah, don't be shocked if a move isn't made. Take a listen to Brian Windhorst yesterday. He was on with Greeny.
I don't think so, because I think if you really look and read what the Lakers have actually done over the last 9 months, they have been leaning towards retrofitting their team in the summer of 2026. That is when they're going to have approaching $100 million in cap space. That is when they will get access to 3 first-round picks to trade. Right now, they're only permitted to trade 1, so they just have more that they can go to market with. And if you look at the free agent moves they made last summer, which was DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart on the scrap heap, with all due respect, they were released by other teams. The majority of their salary is playing elsewhere. The trade talks that they have had have largely been offering their expiring contracts. They haven't been willing to include a bunch of future draft picks or taking on future money. They are basically spinning their wheels, waiting to rebuild this team around Luka Doncic. It will help when Austin Reaves come back, and he has been sluggish to return. But I do not think you look at this team right now and say that's a team that's aggressively trying to win the West. I don't.
All right, that's Windhorst right there with Greeny. So Windhorst kind of breaking everything down, simplifying it. If you look at their actions over the last 9 months, what have the Lakers been trying to juggle over these last 9 months? And listen, a lot has changed for the Lakers over the course of the last, you can call it 9 months, 6 months, whatever you want to say. But I know a lot of Laker fans are frustrated saying, Al, it's the same thing. Al, it's the same. Pelinka's doing the exact same thing. He's holding on to this asset. He's giving the team flexibility, and then he's doing this, and he's trying to. It's the same story every single year. I disagree with that. I don't think it's the same story because the Lakers have made moves at the trade deadline. That's not something that's been crazy. I mean, hell, last year traded for Dorian Finney-Smith, obviously traded for Luka Doncic and started this whole new chapter for the Lakers. It was a no-brainer, of course. Every GM would have done it out there, and there's a reason why Nico Harrison no longer has a job, and will probably never have a job again in a front office in the NBA. We'll see what happens. Here's the difference. And for those that are disappointed if the Lakers don't make a move, I'm just going to tell everybody, here's the difference between the Lakers' current situation and the Lakers' situation over these last couple of years. Seismic changes should be happening this summer. And that's not just an addition. That could be a subtraction. I don't think many people think that LeBron's going to be a Los Angeles Laker after this year. That's a seismic change. That's not a small little thing here. No, that's one of the faces of the NBA for 20 plus years. Somebody that's been a Laker for 8 years could very easily no longer be with the Lakers after this season. That's one seismic change. Okay? Here's another seismic change. Just like right now, we're going through the first trade deadline under new ownership. This summer will be the first summer under new ownership. I say that because as much as we want to try to say, well, the Lakers are just doing the same thing that they've been doing now for X amount of years. And, you know, they keep saying, arguing about this flexibility and this and that, and how come they can't make any bigger move. This summer is just going to be different. It's going to be different because it's the first time LeBron is on an expiring contract, and it's the first time new ownership gets a chance to kind of say, all right, we're going to start doing things our way. I don't know if the Lakers will make a move between now and Thursday. I still think they're going to do something, even if it's not a big move. I don't expect them to make a big move, but I still think they're going to do something. I still think they're going to try to improve the roster, still keeping in mind, all right, we need that cap space in the summer. Still keeping in mind, do we really want to give up a first rounder for Sadiq Bey? Or do we want to hold on to that first rounder so we got 3 first rounders in the summer to work with, and whatever we decide to do from there, give ourselves the most amount of flexibility possible. Potentially, if we're going to go make a trade package out there, 3 first rounders, that's a good chunk of change right there to have from a draft perspective, compensation perspective. And then guys like Austin Reaves, or if you want to throw them into the mix, or maybe you keep Austin Reaves and you're just using those draft picks for something else. The point I'm trying to make is, if a couple of weeks ago we thought, well, I mean, the Lakers are going to go after Andrew Wiggins, or they're going to go after Herb Jones, or they're going to go after Trey Murphy III, or they're going to go after, you pick the player that was out there. I don't feel like there's many reporters or insiders right now feeling like the Lakers are going to do much. And honestly, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but the world, I'm not the most disappointed. I don't know if where I'm going to be compared to other Laker fans if we're sitting here 72 hours from now and I'm doing a show on Friday morning and the Lakers didn't go out there and make a move. I don't think the world's going to end for me. In a weird way, I'm going to be thinking to myself that, hey, maybe the Lakers actually have a plan. Maybe they are very responsible by not going out there and trading the only first rounder that they have right now. They'll get 2 more in the summer. And then I'll start kind of expecting them to really, really make these just huge wholesale changes in the summer that really start the new chapter. And then obviously, hopefully from there, they start competing on a more consistent basis. And they are in that conversation with maybe the San Antonio Spurs or the Denver Nuggets, some of those upper echelon teams, which right now I think it's safe to say I don't think the Lakers are. So a lot cooking without a lot cooking, if that makes sense. That the Lakers, sometimes the best move you can make is no move. And again, I think there's certain times to put all your chips in the center of the table. And right now, I don't know if the Lakers got the hand in front of them to say, hey, this is the time. So we'll see what they end up doing. Still got a little bit of time. Maybe as we sit here, maybe the Lakers decide, nope, we found the right trade. Here's that first rounder. Go ahead and take it. Take Rui Hachimura. Take a couple other expiring contracts. Maybe that's going to happen. Maybe there's a move to be had. Maybe a lot of teams that were asking for a lot, the asking price comes down because that clock keeps ticking and they just want to get somebody off their books. They want to get rid of a player. Maybe those expiring contracts become a lot more lucrative or a lot more appealing to other teams out there. But for now, a lot of the conversation seems to be the same, that there really just isn't much that you feel like the Lakers are going to do between now and the NBA trade deadline. So I wanted to start the show off that way because that's just what it feels like it's leaning towards. And I guess now, if the Lakers are to trade that first round pick, or they are to make a trade, they do make a trade that's a little bit more seismic, becomes a little bit more of a surprise than an expectation. So that's how I would, I guess I would say how I would view all of that. Okay, let's give a shout out to one of our sponsors, and then I'm going to start looking at some of the comments. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Looking forward to connecting with Brad again, probably later this week. Him and I have sent a couple of texts to each other, and one of the things I look forward to is when he starts giving me real examples of when he's in a courtroom, when he's dealing with his clients, because I love telling those real stories to you guys as well. I think most people know who Brad Wallace is now. One of the best injury attorneys in the entire state of California, can help anybody in the state of California. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you go to that website, get an absolutely free consultation, serious injury, wrongful death case, whether it's you, a friend, or a family member. Put somebody in touch with the best in the business, and he's the best in the business. I hope you never need him. I can only imagine how intimidating and daunting of a process it would be. But if you need an injury attorney, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. All right, shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, and thank you for him. Thank you to him for being such a loyal partner to the show. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. What do we have? Get through a couple of these supers here. Cavs in second apron making moves. Rob has no excuse. Does Rob have no excuse, or is Rob trying to be strategic in the big picture? I mean, I think there are reasons why you could be frustrated with Rob Pelinka. I don't know if this would be the time. If people are asking for too much, or you just don't have enough assets, what is Rob supposed to do? But it's a good question because, frankly, to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure if most people look at Rob Pelinka right now and say, hey, why is this guy the president of basketball? I probably more people lean that way towards, um, a different conclusion. But I've said this before. Rob's on the clock, as is anybody that was a part of the previous regime. And if you're Mark Walter in this group, are you not every single day saying, is this person moving us closer to our goal? And I don't think we're going to know that for another year or so. But the no excuse part, I don't know how much I agree with that. I think there's a little bit of me that says to myself that the Lakers, in trying to be responsible, sometimes you just can't go out there and make a move just to make a move. Do you guys see the Lakers winning 50 games this season? So they'll probably be under 50 games. It doesn't mean they're not on pace for it, but I do think the schedule gets a lot tougher. And we've seen what the Lakers have done against teams over 500. They're 9-11 against teams over 500. They're going to go through a stretch a little bit later in the season, actually coming up here, where they got OKC, San Antonio, Denver, Houston. I mean, the tough games are coming. And those are going to be the games that I'm most looking forward to, because I think that's going to give us a better idea who the Lakers are, even though I think we have a pretty good top 5 in the Western Conference, top 6 in the Western Conference. I think we have a good idea what the Lakers are. Tough to get out of that first round. Definitely don't think they're getting out of the second round. So I think we have a good idea. Though how many games you win in a regular season is a little bit of if we're going to use the word we've used in the past, it's got some fugazi to it. Not exactly real. Doesn't exactly tell the whole story. Lakers won 50 games last year, 3rd place in the Western Conference. And before we got to May 1st, they were booking trips to Cancun to, think of different beautiful islands everywhere around the world. They were already on vacation. So it doesn't always tell the story about how many wins you get. You can have a better record than the Houston Rockets. Doesn't mean you're better than Houston. You can have a better record than the Minnesota Timberwolves. Doesn't mean you're better than Minnesota. So whether they get to 50 wins or not, I don't think it's going to tell the full story either way. The Lakers are handcuffed. If they make a move by the deadline, it won't be significant. We have to wait till the summer. And that's the vibe I think everybody's getting right now is, why don't they just wait till the summer and really, really properly start building this thing out the right way? It's almost like, I don't know, somebody's remodeling their house. They're remodeling the kitchen. And it's like, all right, well, let's just do one side of the kitchen. It's like, no, now you have, it doesn't match. Right now, the Lakers are this house where not everything matches. And it's like, do you just kind of clean this thing up at once? Do you just wait a couple of months, maybe wait 6 months, a year, get a little bit, save a little bit more money so that budget is right. So then when you walk in, you're like, we're remodeling the kitchen. We're not keeping a little bit of this and the cabinets there and this and that. If we're going to do this, let's do it right. That's kind of the position I feel like the Lakers are in. If you're going to remodel the kitchen, then save a little bit more money to remodel the kitchen right, rather than kind of piecing this thing together. Let me get one more here. No need to force a move when you're not a championship contender. If they can make a minor trade that improves our assets for the future, then go for it. It's a good comment right there. That's a good way of looking at it. Okay, there's a couple other things I want to do here. We'll get Sammy on here in about 5-6 minutes, something like that. So here's another thing that I wanted to do. There's a good article out there, or Jake Fischer was doing. You guys know Jake Fischer does Bleacher Report, does Substack for the Steinline, Mark Stein's piece out there. And then we'll start getting into some of the James Harden stuff as well. There are a couple things that I read from. There's a couple things I read from Jake Fischer that I want to point out here real quick. Doing his live stream with Bleacher Report, he said that the Lakers' inability to trade for Keon Ellis, whom the team wanted, is an indicator to him that they're not going to be super aggressive trying to find perimeter help. Okay, it's a conversation that we had. Here's, I think, the part that's most important. He reiterated their desire to maintain cap space for the summer and named Peyton Watson, Benedict Mathurin, Tari Eason as potential players they could target amongst other wings that may become available. Okay, so now you walk into the summer, you kept your first rounders, you still have these assets. All this money comes off the books. You heard Brian Windhorst talking a little bit about the amount of cap space that the Lakers would have, and they're holding on to some of that cap space. The players all listed on this list are young, athletic, play defense, can build with Luka for a number of years. Some of them got some dogs in them or got some dog in them. Peyton Watson, Benedict Mathurin, and Tari Eason. So again, just a little bit more indication of what that means in regards to what the Lakers could potentially do over the summer. Then there was another piece that Jake Fischer mentioned, and we'll spend a quick second on this as well. Jake also mentioned definitively. By the way, this is the Lakers review that I'm reading this off of. So they went on Twitter and grabbed a couple of these quotes from Jake Fischer. The Lakers are ready to move on from LeBron James. And I think LeBron James is ready to move on from the Lakers as well. That's kind of the foregone sentiment in Los Angeles right now about what's to come this summer. Every single move that the Lakers are making or either not making, which is an indication as well, is giving the indication of kind of what the plan is moving forward. Sometimes you don't have to make a move in order to tell the entire story. Sometimes you can, obviously leave some tea leaves out there to give everyone an idea or an indication what you're planning to do. And I think for the Lakers right now, we're getting a little bit of that. And how much of that is new ownership saying, no, stop shopping these first rounders and giving them away so easily? Or maybe there's a little bit of an indication, hey, we might get a shot at Giannis Antetokounmpo. And if we're going to get a shot at Giannis Antetokounmpo, we better hold on to every asset that we have so that we can walk into the summer at least having a conversation with some of these other teams. And then maybe Giannis can help the Lakers by saying he wants to be a Los Angeles Laker. Or maybe it's just as simple as saying, we don't want to throw bad money. We don't want to throw good money towards a situation that we don't think is going to change all that much if we go out and make a move. So couple different sources that are out there, obviously a few different conversations in regards to all this stuff that we've been referring to as far as what the Lakers are going to do in the next 48 hours. But I've kind of come to the conclusion right now that I'm not expecting the Lakers to do much in the next 48 hours. Doesn't mean they don't make a move, but it makes me think they're going to be holding on to a lot of these assets. And, there's a piece of me that says that that's responsible. And I understand those that are frustrated that they're not able to do something or don't want to do something as quick as fans want them to do something. Y'all have too much faith in the baseball guys. You can't buy a championship like you can in baseball. There is truth to this. And I was, I spent some time during the show on Friday saying that I don't really understand how some of the personnel from the Dodgers are going to help the Lakers. Maybe structurally they can help. Maybe conceptually they can help. But at the end of the day, you are running two separate businesses. But I think there's also a theme that I genuinely believe in. Winners find a way to win. And I think there's no question about it that that group that runs the Dodgers, they're winners. Now, can I also tell you that you can literally throw as much money as you want to fix a problem in one sport that you can't do the same thing on the other side? But where they can throw a ton of money is in their front office, which is why the Rob Pelinka piece and the scouting department, everything else, that's why I think everybody's going to be watching them with a magnifying glass, because if they don't feel like this is going in the right direction, then isn't that the area that you change? Isn't that the portion that you change in order to give your roster, obviously, the best chance of competing on a night in, night out basis? Okay. I'm going to get to some more of these comments here in just a second. A lot of comments today. Everybody, just relax here for a second. A lot of comments. We're going to get into most of these comments, and I'm going to keep reading on some of these in just a second. Before I do, let's give a shout out to Harrah's Resort SoCal. Located anywhere between an hour to 2 hours from anywhere in Southern California. I just spent a couple of days there. I've told you guys about it. if you're looking for a staycation, if you want to get away, if you're just looking to kind of, man, I just got to get away from the hustle here. No better staycation to take than Harrah's Resort SoCal. If you go to the website, harrahsocal.com, you could start booking your stay. They got over 1,000 luxurious rooms, phenomenal restaurants as well, whether it's Hell's Kitchen. I've told you guys about Rita's Cantina, which is just a great place right in front of the pool. Unbelievable views of the mountains. Obviously, you got the lazy river right in front of you. It's a great place for a staycation. It's smart, too. Why go spend money on airfare, round trip ticket? You got to park your car and leave it at the airport. Who knows what they charge on a night in, night out basis? You can get the same experience in any city by just going to Harrah's, and it's within an hour to 2 hours away. HarrahSoCal.com is the website. Shout out to them for being a partner, and shout out to everybody supporting our partners. All right, let's get to a few more comments here, and then we're going to get Sammy on the show as well. All right, let's see some of these comments here. By the way, I've got to give some love here. It's $3 a month to be a member. I never want to put pressure on anybody to be a member. Just anybody that just supports the channel and just comes on here and is a subscriber is more than enough. But if you'd like to be a member, just click that join button. I do at least minimum one show for members that are really kind of separate than just Laker conversations. We could talk about the channel, talk about a lot of different things. It's a great way to support the channel. Mustang Mikey is a new member. Thank you for being a member, brother. I appreciate you. Let's get another one in here. Lath, New York City is a member, is a new member. Thank you for being a member. This is unsolicited, by the way. I didn't even mention anything. I really appreciate you guys being a member. So thank you very much. Really, really appreciate you guys all being members. And thank you to everybody who's already a member. Don't feel obligated, but if you want to support the channel, that's another way to support the channel. All right, let's bring on Sammy. Let's get Sammy into the mix here. Let's get him on the show. Let's get Sammy. Where's Sammy? There's Sammy right there. What's up, Sammy? What is up, brother? What is going on?
What's up, dude?
Always got good energy in the morning, you know? Like, how do you get Sammy and then not kind of it's contagious there? What's going on, brother? How are you doing?
Nothing much, dude. I was thank you for inviting me on the show. Got a text, woke up a little late, and I was like, gotta join Slee.
All right, so you're here. Lakers got Brooklyn tonight. It could be the most boring game of the year, but you know what? We're gonna roll up our sleeves and we're still gonna talk about it.
I'm sure the Lakers will find a way to make it exciting. I'm sure
that part you're probably right. All right, so Sammy put up a preview video last night, Lakers and the Nets. By the way, if you just said Lakers play the Nets tonight at 4:30 and the preview video ended, I'd have been completely okay with that.
I got to be honest. I was doing research for it, and I'm like, at one point in my video, I'm like, guys, let's be honest. This team's terrible.
They lost by 53 and 54 in two of the last, 6 or 7 games. How's that possible?
Yeah, it's literally Cam Thomas and Michael Porter Jr. and Zaire Williams, all right, and basically everyone else who will not be here after their tank. They get their draft pick next year. So yeah.
By the way, I'm not mad at it. If I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I'm trying to get picks as well. I don't care what the hell happens this season. All right, so let me play out a scenario for you. And I'm curious because I know you're obviously a huge Laker fan. You're watching the games every single day. You want to see your squad win. Let me play this scenario out. We're sitting here on Friday, and let's say the Lakers made no move. They kept their first rounder. It's the same team that, you saw. Maybe they try to add something in the buyout, if a player's bought out or whatever the case is, which they've had some success doing that. What's your thoughts on Friday if nothing changed?
I think obviously for this year, you're feeling a little like, okay, well, we know what this team is. This team is decent enough to make the playoffs. They're decent enough to beat the bad teams, the okay teams, sometimes even the good teams, but we know their record against teams above 500. Every time they've stepped up and played a team in that kind of realm, they haven't played well. Their only 2 wins against, quote, big-time teams was the Spurs with the first matchup of the season and then that Denver game, but Denver obviously not having Jokic and Cam Johnson and Valanciunas and stuff. So I think if we come Friday and there's no moves made, there's expectations for this season of, okay, get to the playoffs, maybe win a round. That's probably about it. But I do think if they don't make a move by Thursday, the offseason becomes a lot more exciting. And we're sitting here going, okay, the Lakers, because for years, the Lakers have kind of been, whether it was the AD trade or the Russell Westbrook trade, the Lakers have never really had picks to really maintain. And if you think about it, outside of the Luka deal last year, the Lakers have been quiet at most deadlines each of the past 5 years. Outside of the Luka deal, they're usually not, for always being linked to all these big time players because of the Lakers. They're usually not making all these moves. And a reason of that is because the Lakers usually can't offer the best package because they've been kind of hamstrung with picks. So I think if Friday, no moves made, I think we're disappointed for this year. But I think moving forward, it's going to be a really fun offseason and probably one of the most fun off seasons we've had in a long time. What would you say?
I think you said it right, that there's some disappointment because it's like, all right, you already kind of know you're going into battle. It's like, we don't got the weapons some of these other teams have. So it's like, it's just a matter of time until your season ends. And whether that's a solid first round tough matchup against Minnesota or Houston, or by the way, maybe it's not even solid, but let's say you got past the first round, which you will not be a favorite to get past the first round. Any of those teams that you play, maybe Minnesota. Minnesota would be the favorite, but I think they would have the edge. It's just a matter of time until your season ends.
Right.
But what I will say is, the way you described it as it would then become an exciting summer, I would say it adds these expectations to the summer of, well, you better get your shit handled, because if you held on to all those picks, this is one thing that I know the Lakers aren't going to be doing right now. What they're not going to be doing right now is drafting and developing. They're not, because Luka's 26. He'll be 27 next year. Luka's not trying to hang out for a couple of years and wait for the Lakers to be drafting and developing players. So I think it's going to add, if they don't do anything by this trade deadline, I think it's just going to add a lot more expectations in the summer. And then it's basically like, well, where are your seismic changes? Where are your seismic moves? And that's what people are going to be expecting.
It's a tough, because it's like, the Lakers, if you think about when the Luka deal happened, I was a year ago from yesterday. It's like the Lakers franchise was going for probably a half decade of suck. I mean, LeBron being older, I don't think AD was attracting star free agents because of his injury history and kind of not showing up in the biggest moments. And then you get this like lottery ticket dropped in your lap and they didn't even take all the picks. So it's like this rebuild on the fly, because the Lakers were really headed toward a rebuild. But then you get Luka Doncic, and then you're dealing with LeBron, who's, we've talked about a lot, still an unbelievable player, top 15 player in the game, but we know his limitations because of his age, not playing back-to-back nights, taking up a lot of the money. And I hear both arguments. It's like LeBron plays at a level where he should be taking up a lot of money, but then some of the restrictions defensively because of his age kind of hinders the team, and it's a flawed roster. I'm with you. The pressure for them to build around Luka, I think it's a little bit different right now. Like, I've heard a lot about that, about, Luka's going to be disappointed, or people worried that Luka's going to get pissed off. It's like, Luka signed the deal. Luka knew this probably was going to happen at this trade deadline. That's why he signed an extension before the year to stay here. But I'm
not worried about Luka. Like, I'm not worried about Luka not being happy, because I think the Lakers will. I think everyone's on the same page of they want to compete right now. I mean, they want to build something around Luka. So I'm not as worried about Luka. But when I say the expectations will change, the expectations is like, look, you held on to your picks. Fine. That's maybe a really responsible thing to do. You gave yourself maximum amount of flexibility for the most part, right? Like, they got tremendous amount of flexibility. Right. They got a ton of expiring contracts. But with all that in mind, it's like, all right, well, now it's the time to start that next chapter. And obviously every single move you make has to be around Luka.
I feel like if the key to this is DeAndre Ayton, because if DeAndre Ayton had been playing like he had the first, 6 weeks of the season, kind of month and a half, where we kind of lied to all of us thinking, hey, maybe this guy could be the franchise center going forward. Maybe the Lakers found something that Phoenix and Portland didn't. In the last month, it's felt like you're like, oh, That's why. That's why it didn't work out in Phoenix. That's why it didn't work out in Portland. And if DeAndre Ayton was playing excellent basketball, if Ayton was being a dominant center, and I think the Lakers' only problem would then be you need wing defenders, I think this trade deadline would be much different for the Lakers because it'd be attacking one need. Because I think just getting wing defenders, I think we also come playoff time. I think they get much better, but we also probably sit here come playoff time and go, do we trust DeAndre Ayton to go up against your Jokic's and your Şengün and win? I don't think so, at least from what we've seen recently.
No, I think the entire kind of concept of DeAndre Ayton is there's a reason why you got him, how you got him. There's a reason why Portland said you guys take him. And that's fine. You know, not every scenario is the same. Blazers are in a different position than the Lakers. Lakers didn't have a center, so it was worth taking the chance. And what risk did they take? They really didn't take any risk. But Ayton also was showing you that, yeah, I'm not the future. You know, and I think, listen, sometimes it's better to just have clarity than it is to, you know, ask that question of like, oh, maybe this, maybe not. Right. I think we have our answer with Ayton. Okay, let me throw another one in here. Let's so I think we're kind of getting a little bit better of an idea, like I said, from that perspective. LeBron, you how do you feel if this is it for LeBron, final year with the Lakers, and whether he stays in the NBA or he doesn't? I mean, I've given my opinion. I want this to be LeBron's final year. I have no problem with LeBron doing a farewell tour. I actually think it would be phenomenal if he did it in Cleveland. I'm ready to, you know, turn the page, next chapter, all that stuff. And a lot of reports out there. I read something from Jake Fischer earlier. It was Shams last week that was talking about the end is near. What's your thoughts on LeBron and his potentially being his final year with the Lakers?
I'm with you. Listen, it's been a great marriage. LeBron got the city a championship, so always love LeBron for that. And I don't want to sound like I'm ripping LeBron. Like, LeBron is still an amazing player.
Why are you ripping LeBron?
I get that a lot in my videos. LeBron fans don't like me, which is fine. That's good. But
LeBron, okay, you're getting one or the other. I'll have two comments in a row. One will say I'm glazing LeBron, and then the very next one after.
I've never gotten that. Trust me.
The very next one they'll say, "Why do you hate LeBron?" I'm like, well, which one? I mean, I can't have one sentence that brings two polar opposite people into the comments. But go ahead.
Yeah, I get a lot more of the latter. Why do you hate LeBron? LeBron is an amazing player, and think about, has there ever been a star that at this stage has played this well in LeBron James, who, if you just took the stats, would be a player that everyone would want at the deadline, but he's kind of in a weird way untradeable because of his age and the fact that the Lakers want young players back, and every team knows they're like, we're not giving up young players for a 40-year-old, for a 41-year-old.
Yeah, there's no trade to be made. They just you can't, you know, like you said, like, first off, no, you can't look at the stats and say anybody's ever done this because literally nobody has ever played in their 23 years in the NBA. But I agree with you. I agree that aside from he has a no trade clause, no team is going to like match offers to trade for LeBron. We know LeBron's not going to go anywhere.
Which is why it's just, they're on a different timeline. Like, I wouldn't fault LeBron at all. If LeBron leaves in the offseason, wants to go to Cleveland, I think that'd be a great story for the NBA. Cleveland's in a position where, per all reports, they're trying to get James Harden right now. They need another scorer. They need a second guy alongside Donovan Mitchell to kind of take the load off and let Mobley go to work down low. So they're in a different spot than the Lakers. The Lakers are trying to rebuild a team around Luka. And we've seen Luka needs a running mate, Jalen Brunson or Kyrie Irving, which I think could be Reaves. And then you need to build centers, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford. Like, you need a lot of bigs. The way that this team is currently constructed would not work around Luka, especially with the lack of three-point shooters on the end. So back to your question about LeBron, yes, I'd be totally fine if LeBron leaves, goes for a chance to play somewhere where he could really go win a championship, and the Lakers are able to free up money and really go spend it in ways that they feel could work for the future.
You mentioned Austin Reaves, so we'll see. Austin Reaves questionable tonight as well against Brooklyn, so we'll see if he ends up coming back. You've been, I want to say you've been more optimistic, maybe that's the right way to put it, on Reaves and a Luka backcourt together. It's a fair question, and I think we don't know the answer of this until the Lakers actually start putting a team together around Luka and around Austin Reaves, how successful they can be. What makes you think that if they get the right pieces around those two players and they get some wing help and they got a center that they could, a lob threat and a defensive player, what makes you think those two can have real success together and go on some type of a run? It's hard to predict that now because the roster is so, whatever the roster looks like today, it can't look anything like that moving forward. But why do you think that could be a good mix long term?
Like I get all the comments, people like they don't play defense, and that's true. It's a very valid concern that you're paying to your top guys who don't play defense. But I mean, I think the last month has been the biggest case why the Lakers need Austin Reaves. I mean, Luka can't be by himself. Like LeBron's on his way out. Someone else has to take the ball. A lot of these Laker games the Lakers have lost has been because either LeBron and Luka can't be on the floor at all times, and you have no guys who can get into a ball action, no guys who can actually run an offense. It's just a bunch of role players. And to your point, it would look completely different. You would have to make a specific style team. You would need to load up on a gazillion different defenders and probably excess in that regard. And you need a lot of bigs. But like, let's not forget, and I know people are going to go, Austin Reaves is not Kyrie Irving. That's fair. But I think Austin Reaves is ascending into a level where he could be a legit number 2 in the league. That team that went to face Boston, that is how you would construct a team. Elite bigs, elite wing players, 2 superstar guards. I don't know what the option is. So you're going to let Reaves walk and LeBron walk, and then Luka's by himself averaging 40 a night to have no help. Then you're looking for another Austin Reaves, a guy who you kind of developed and was homegrown. I don't know where you're going to find that, especially where the Lakers are picking.
I got the solution. Solution is easy. The solution is re-sign Austin Reaves, give it a year, see what it looks like.
And if you don't like it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that and listen, I know people are going to be like, Jesus, now another trade, another seismic trade. First off, you want Austin Reaves. Like, you just want him because he's an asset. So obviously you're not going to let this guy walk away. Now, maybe something happens in the summer, and if they got 3 first rounders and Austin Reaves and Giannis wants to be a Los Angeles Laker, okay, that's a different conversation. We could have that conversation if that ever was the predicament. But I've always said this about Reaves. It ain't a perfect backcourt. Of course it wouldn't be a perfect backcourt. And you could poke holes in that backcourt all you want, and I'm not here to argue that. But what I would say is keep Reaves, sign him, make sure he's under your control. And then after that, if things aren't going the way you want it to go, you have a great asset in Austin Reaves that can be a phenomenal trade piece to another team that might say, we need an Austin Reaves, or we think he could be one of the faces of our franchise. But I think the question of, hey, I'm not sure if that backcourt can let's put it this way. If you told me to pick one way or the other, can Luka and Austin Reaves be a backcourt that represents the Western Conference? Yeah, I'm gonna definitely posit that. I mean, I need what the rest of the roster must look amazing.
Yeah, it has to be a specific type roster.
It has to be a perfect roster, right? So like, and there probably has to be a lot of things that also go your way. And obviously watching what the Spurs are going to be over the next couple of years, what OKC is going to be over the next couple of years. But I do think you have to hold on to that asset. You got to resign him, and then, obviously see what you do from there. Okay, I want to see, and we're going to try to play this here real quick and see if we could do it with both of us on here. The big news that came last night was the James Harden conversation, and Harden wants out of the Los Angeles Clippers. So we'll see here. If I could play this from Shams, we'll play it. If I can't, it's all good. But obviously the news last night, and here are the Clippers who are actually balling. They're playing really good basketball, and they have put themselves in a position where they've almost set themselves up where they're back to 500. They're relevant again. Let me just play this because we're going to talk a little bit of James Harden here, and there's a lot of other NBA rumors going on with the trade deadline coming on Thursday. This one kind of shocked everybody. Let's take a listen here. Shams reporting and having the conversation about James Harden.
Michael, this is somewhat a stunner. The LA Clippers and 11-time All-Star James Harden are working through whether they can find a trade for Harden out of LA by Thursday's NBA trade deadline. And my understanding is both of these sides have been aligned in these conversations, and it's been made possible because he has a mutual option in his contract for next season. It's a $13 million partial guarantee. That has allowed both of these sides over the last few days to have conversations about whether he has a long-term future potentially in LA and whether that could be possible. And so now both sides are discussing, is there a mutually beneficial option? Is there a beneficial thing for James Harden to land with a team that he wants to go compete for a championship? This is a Clippers team that right now is in the play-in tournament race. Yeah. Can I land to a team and go to a championship? And the Clippers are saying, can we find a player, potentially a younger player, that fits them better long-term? One of the teams that has jumped out as among the most interested teams for Harden right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell, obviously championship expectations right now with the Clippers. They're one of the most interested teams in him, from my understanding. And James Harden has the power in all this. He has a no-trade clause.
All right, so there's kind of the details here in regards to what happens between James Harden, Los Angeles Clippers. By the way, something to keep in mind here, whether you're a big Harden fan or not, he's averaging 24 points, 8 assists in 19 of the last 21 games for the Clippers. They're 17-5 since starting 6-21. They've obviously got closer to 500. The conversation now, Chris Mannix was reporting that the Clippers and the Cavs discuss a Harden-Garland swap, which is interesting. You know, I will say that I think the Cavs probably more dangerous with a James Harden than they are Darius Garland. And the question is just going to be, can Harden be, which he has the capability of being, this facilitator that has a lot of options on that Cavs team? They got a good roster.
Yeah.
Let Donovan Mitchell play a little bit off ball. So anyways, we're going to kind of wait to see what happens in regards to this. Here's the one thing I will say. Clippers get a lot of, they get a lot of shit because they're the Clippers, but let me give them some credit. They didn't pay Paul George. And go see what that Paul George contract looks with the Philadelphia 76ers right now. We know now that he also suspended for 25 games, not getting paid in that span as well. If I'm the Clippers, I'm not signing James Harden to a 2-year, $80 million extension. This is kind of shocking the way it all happened because of how good they've been playing, but kind of a crazy scenario that came out of nowhere.
Right. And it's like everyone, I think the Eastern Conference especially it's like been Giannis watch. Kind of, Timberwolves are in it and the Golden State in the West. And then you got Miami's in on it, New York, apparently Cleveland. There were some rumors of them. I feel like the Eastern Conference is who can get somebody. And who knows if Giannis is moved by Thursday. And also the Eastern Conference is at a disadvantage because if you're Milwaukee, do you want to trade him to the Knicks? Do you want to trade him to Miami and have to deal with him for the next 5 years while you're trying to rebuild? I don't think so. So it makes more sense in the West. But Harden is kind of then that tier down. Like, are the Wolves going to trade, Memphis? Are they going to trade Ja Morant? I don't know how valuable Anthony Davis is at this point. So Harden kind of becomes that next option of just a pure scorer. Kind of what I was talking about with LeBron. LeBron and Harden can be very valuable to teams that are just like a hair away, that need a bona fide playoff star, someone that could really push them over the edge. This is why the
are ready to go, have playoff experience, are at the end of their career, and understand that they're just going to play a role.
Right, like Cleveland with James Harden. To your point, I think the Clippers, give them some credit. Getting a young guard and Darius Garland back would be a really good move for them. But Harden gives you someone who can really bounce off Donovan Mitchell, because that was the problem against the Pacers last year. It was Donovan Mitchell and nobody else, and no one else really kind of stepped up to the plate. Harden will play better as the number 2, but it's like Harden, LeBron, everyone's timelines are different, and I feel like because the Lakers have a bunch of big names with LeBron and Reaves and Luka, they're kind of in a soft rebuild, and I feel like that's hard for people to kind of understand sometimes. But it's like I get why LeBron has kind of at time. LeBron doesn't have any incentive to sit there and wait and watch for talent to develop or wait for the offseason for the Lakers to trade. It's just Harden and LeBron, these guys are on different timelines. So I don't fault them for wanting to go somewhere else, but I just think the Lakers are on a little bit different wavelength right now.
I'm going to read this here. Tomar Azarli, I think is how you say it. So Timberwolves are also discussing a James Harden trade with the Clippers. The Pelicans and Raptors have also expressed interest. Pelicans, that's good. Okay, but Harden has zero interest in playing for either franchise. I'll read the exact quote here. In addition to the Cavs, league sources tell Clutch Points the Minnesota Timberwolves have also had trade discussions with the Clippers around James Harden. And the only reason why I won't mention much about the Raptors and the Pelicans. You know, you're watching teams. If Harden hypothetically ended up with the Minnesota Timberwolves, which I think there is an advantage if he goes to the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think he'll be able to help them. There's a couple teams here in the Western Conference that they're around where the Lakers are. How much of a difference would that make this season? How much of a difference would that make in all of a sudden if he joins the Minnesota Timberwolves? Are you now basically fighting for 6th and 7th in the Western Conference rather than the top 5? So obviously a lot can happen in regards to that. That's not the only thing. You know, I'll mention this as well. Shams was talking about where Ja Morant is, that the Mavs phones are wide open. Basically, they're completely open for business, that the Raptors are interested in Domantas Sabonis, that the Nets see Michael Porter Jr. as part of their future. So, and I haven't even mentioned Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's a lot that can happen. A lot that can happen between now and Thursday.
Do you think that the fact that obviously Oklahoma City is the favorite, they will be,
Yep.
But the fact that they aren't, like the first month of the season, they were just running through everyone. And it was like, oh, they're like, you know, straight shot to the finals. Do you think the fact that they've shown some flaws, like a little bit, people now, all these teams are kind of like, wait, like we could get after them. And I think we have revisionist history of last year. They got taken to Game 7 by the Nuggets. They got taken to Game 7 by the Pacers. Yeah. And who knows what would happen if Halliburton doesn't rip his Achilles. I'm not taking anything away from them. They're a phenomenal team and they should be the favorite. But I feel like all these teams smell a little bit of blood in the water versus just this Golden State type dynasty that was kind of untouchable with KD and Steph. You knew outside of Cleveland, no one was really going to have a shot.
I'm going to tell you a quick story because you're involved in this story. So about let's call it a month and a half ago or so, I'm up in Northern California and you hit me with a text and you said, hey, can you come on? For those who don't know, Sammy's does a show down in San Diego Monday through Friday. He's on from noon to 2 and is doing sports talk radio on a daily basis. So you hit me with a text. You're like, hey, can you come on the show and talk some Lakers or talk Lakers and NBA? I think we're right around the NBA Cup. And I remember you're on and you guys had asked me, he's a partner with him as well. You guys had asked me, do you like that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander said that they're running or they're trying to catch the Golden State Warriors? It was right after that. Yeah. And I remember saying, and I told you guys, I'm like, yeah, I don't like that. I'm like, if there's one thing I like about the Oklahoma City Thunder, they stay under the radar. They give no one really any juice to want to to go after them or any of that stuff. That's the first time I'm like, Shai, I don't really know why you're telling everybody you want to go for it. First off, it's so early in the season. And they got off to, this ridiculous start. They have not been the same team, I think, since then. Now, part of them could also be saying we're pacing ourselves. They've had Jalen Williams out of the lineup. They've had some different injuries, guys in out of the lineup. I think they're just facing this 82-game schedule. They're kind of juggling the grind of an 82-game schedule. I still think they'll be the heavy favorites. But yes, maybe there's a little bit of, hey, are they beatable because they've lost against teams that you haven't really expected since that point? And teams like the San Antonio Spurs, definitely there's some other teams out there that feel like they can beat them.
I remember you coming on the show and saying that, and you were totally right. I agree with you. Like, I mean, I believe they're playing the Spurs tomorrow night, but against Minnesota and the Spurs, they're combined 2-5. And it's easy to write off. I do agree with you. I think sometimes in the middle of a long season, you're coming off winning a championship, you can get a little sloppy. And I would, right? If you were like, you have to pick one team to win the title, your life depends on it. I think everyone would pick Oklahoma City. But this gauntlet that we talk about for the Lakers in the West, I mean, Houston, Denver, San Antonio, Minnesota's ascending in that conversation. If Golden State got Giannis, I think they would be in the conversation. It's not like it's just an easy road through. I mean, they're going to have to beat some really good teams. And I just think, I mean, like we haven't had a repeat champion in each of the last 5 years. Remember, we thought Denver was the next dynasty. Then we thought Boston was the next dynasty. I mean, all these kind of teams we've thought were dynasties have kind of anointed them as that. I just wonder if we're doing the same thing with Oklahoma City, and maybe teams are seeing that a little bit differently.
Well, I will say this is if there's one, this would be the one that's starting a potential dynasty. I'm going to read this tweet off here real quick from Chris Haynes. Los Angeles Clippers and Cleveland Cavaliers have ramped up conversations on a James Harden, Darius Garland package, with both sides motivated to executing a deal relatively soon, league sources tell Chris Haynes. So for all you and I know, we might end the show, and before we're even doing a Lakers game tonight against the Nets, maybe a deal goes down. Sammy, great stuff, brother. Thank you for coming on. You'll have, tomorrow
for the Sixer game.
Lakers and the Sixers are coming up on Thursday, so Samuel will have a preview video for the Lakers and the Sixers, which, by the way, should be a good game. I mean, that should be a tough game coming up on Thursday. And by the time that game is actually played, the deadline will be over, so we'll obviously know if the Lakers did anything or not. Yeah,
Lakers got a fun little schedule coming up with the Sixers and the Warriors and Clippers next week, Boston, OKC. Hopefully fun for the Lakers. Hopefully not a lot of losses, but will be fun to see them against the better tier teams.
And they should be healthy. So that's also going to be the nice thing, too, is Reaves will have a few games under his belt before he starts going up against some of those matchups. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for coming on, and we'll connect with you soon.
Sliwa, you're the best. Thank you, everybody.
All right, that is Sammy right there. Good stuff from Sammy. All right, good stuff. I mean, all around. I mean, just a lot. Obviously, this is one of the funner times in the year in the NBA. So getting a chance to talk about the league just in general is always fun to do. And obviously a lot cooking right now. So I'm sure there's a lot of fans out there excited about what the next couple of days can look like. All right, we got kind of coming towards the end of the show here. So we're going to start some NBA news. I'm going to take a look at some of the comments, and then we are going to we're going to call it a day. Let me do this here real quick. Let me point out a couple things around the NBA, and then I'll end the show looking at some of your comments. If I could just throw in a quick reminder, please subscribe to the channel. We'd greatly appreciate that. Bucks are sending counter offers for Giannis. All right. Means there's a little bit of movement. With 2 days to go before the trade deadline. The market for Giannis Antetokounmpo has started to progress as the Milwaukee Bucks have submitted counter offers to teams aggressively seeking a deal for the two-time MVP. If you're a Laker fan and you want a shot at Giannis, then obviously you got to wait for this deadline to end. And if Giannis Antetokounmpo does not join the Miami Heat or the Minnesota Timberwolves or the Golden State Warriors or the New York Knicks, who are the most active suitors for Giannis Antetokounmpo, it's the only shot you got. It's to get another crack at it in the summer. So we'll see if something can happen in the next 48 hours, but something to keep in mind there. I thought this was interesting. Another kind of story around the NBA. See if I can find this. There was a story out there in regards to Draymond Green kind of knowing and understanding that he could get traded, and that could be potentially part of a deal. Oh, here it is. Sam Amick on talking specifically about Draymond. I'm going to read this here. Sam Amick of The Athletic. To that point, league sources say Green and his camp are well aware that the prospect of him being sent to Milwaukee is very real. As our Nick Friedel reported on Monday, Jimmy Butler has been given strong indications that the Warriors plan to stick by him as he begins a year-long rehab from his recently torn ACL. And if Butler isn't in the proposed deal, based on the economics and the league rules, then Green is. How about that? Maybe Draymond Green ends up actually getting traded. Can you imagine Draymond Green playing for the Milwaukee Bucks? Let's just say I don't think the guy would be very happy with the current situation. People around the NBA are speculating that Kawhi didn't make the All-Star game because of the reports of improper benefits from aspiration and the Clippers circumventing the salary cap rules. That's one way not to make an All-Star team. Allegedly, taking money under a different avenue. See what happens in regards to that, but a lot of people think Kawhi Leonard should have been an All-Star. Maybe there's some truth to that. Last NBA story I want to get into. Terry Rozier wins salary dispute against the NBA after being indicted in gambling scandal. Rozier will be paid roughly $26.6 million for this season. So Terry Rozier gets the W. Obviously, we know he was federally indicted in a gambling investigation. Terry won today under principles of contract law and the collective bargaining agreement between the league and the players. But the bigger principle at issue is the presumption of innocence, Terry Rozier's agent said, or his attorney said. And that attorney, let's just say, is feeling pretty good about himself. He's probably going to get a little cut of that. A little something off the top. All right, that's all the NBA stories that I have. I'm going to read some comments here to close out the show. Let's get a couple of these in here. Harden pissed he wasn't taken care of like Kawhi was. Ant-Man is a shooting guard. Harden would play next to him as the point guard. Hey, I'm telling you guys right now, that ain't a terrible combination right there. They need a guard. They need somebody, you know what Mike Conley used to be for them before. He's just not. He's too old. They need a James Harden type of player to quarterback things. The Rockets need someone like that. You know, obviously they felt like they had it with Fred VanVleet, but he got injured. Harden would be a really nice addition to the Minnesota Timberwolves short term. Nobody's saying long term, just for these, you know, these runs that they're trying to make right now. Lakers are a first round exit right now without a question. Yeah, listen, anybody they play, they're probably going to they won't be the favorites. Let's put it that way. Now, listen, let's see what happens the rest of the second half of the season. Let's see how much Austin Reaves can change the dynamic for the Lakers, which I think he can have a great amount of impact. But they just don't have enough players on a consistent basis. They don't have enough pieces that fit. They're going to be underdogs in any first-round matchup, just based on the trends. I don't hate what Bucks want. Trade Reaves, get Giannis. Or I don't get what Bucks want. I'm not 100% sure what that means. Fire Rob. Rob needs to go. He's going to get another year before something happens. That I really do believe. I think he's going to get another year before anything happens. Harden is also old and out of shape. I saw Harden versus the Lakers a couple weeks ago, or maybe a week ago or so, a week and a half ago or something like that. Still look good to me. Still looks good to me. All right, are we done? What do we end up here? Let's see. If you're a real Laker fan, LeBron can play here as long as he wants. I disagree. I think if you're a real Laker fan, he's been here for 8 years. You know that you can only there's a ceiling to this Lakers team. It's a time to move on. That's all. At some point, you decide that's enough money that's going towards a player that's in his 23rd season, and you start moving on. So I got no issues with the Lakers starting to move on and getting ready for that next chapter. You got Luka, and it's time to obviously start building around that new chapter. All right, everybody, that's all we got for today. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Shout out to our partners, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, Harris Resort. Thank you to Sammy Long for being on the show as well. Thank you to all the great comments as well. Lakers got a game tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. Right after that game, we'll come on here and do the post-game show. So I'll see you guys about 7 o'clock tonight. No, about 7:30. Let's call it 7:30 tonight after the Lakers take on the Brooklyn Nets. Hope you guys have a great rest of your morning and afternoon, and I'll see you guys tonight.